Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2, Episode 8, The Things We Bury. I loved this episode story wise. I think it was a really kind of a perfect episode story wise. It gave us some really great answers, especially the ending. It was a really great twist. I didn't expect them to kind of play around with that. There's sort of a, we kind of thought that it was just like, it's Hydra, Shield, and it was just as simple as that. And then we kind of threw Sky's father in, and it's like, okay, he's the new element. He's working with Hydra, though. He went to them because he has a thing against Coulson because he feels as though Coulson is the one who's taking his daughter from him right now. So it's him and Hydra versus Shield still. And by the end of this episode, we find out that this is just like a three-way war. Everybody's an enemy with everybody because in this episode we find out finally why Whitehall is so young. And initially, my guess was just that he was special for whatever reason. Something happened. He found out how to just stay young forever. But it turns out that he didn't stay young forever. He actually did age when he was locked up. And that was one of the cool things just because we got to see Agent Carter from that. So I feel like they may or may not put those scenes in Agent Carter when we get that in January. So that'll actually be pretty cool to see what she was doing in between those little visits and what she was doing specifically, and why she had to go and talk to Whitehall. But I thought that was cool. We got to see her during the flashbacks, and he gets in prison for, I believe they said 44 years in the show. And he gets out and he finds the woman he found in the very beginning of this episode that was young, and she was able to touch the diviner. And she's still really young, and we still don't really have a complete answer as to why she stayed young. So it's not 100% up an answer because it still brings up the question, of course, why was she still young after all this time? But we did find out that he basically just took all of her organs, and for whatever reason that worked. So I don't know if she was a mutant and it was just as simple as that, or if it actually is the fact that the diviner, if you kind of touch it and you are one of the chosen people, it'll kind of keep you alive until maybe until it's used as a key like it's supposed to be, and then whatever happens. I don't know. But I really enjoyed that, and we find out that the woman was actually Sky's mother, and that's why her father kind of just went nuts, and so he went and eventually found Whitehall, and I just love the way they did it, and Ward joins them by the end of the episode. But honestly, I wish I could think of his name right now, for some reason I can't. But when Sky's father was like, you just got to look your enemy in the eye, and he just looked right at Whitehall. At first, I just thought it's Hydra, so it's like he doesn't actually trust these people. That's fairly simple. I do that too. It's Hydra. Even if you're working on their team, you never really know if you want to trust these people, and the odds are you probably don't. So it was no big deal at that point, but it was still a really cool scene. It was like you just have to look at your enemy, and it just like looked right at him, and Whitehall was just looking right back, like And then they showed the actual flashback when he found his wife, and it gave it like a whole different meaning because it was just a cool scene at first, like I may be working with you, but I don't trust you. And then it showed that the only reason they're working together, it's not really so that he can go up against Coulson. It seems like he still wants to take Coulson out. He still involved himself in that mission so that he could see Coulson and kind of, rattle the cage a little bit. But he's far more concerned about taking Whitehall down and, as he said himself, ripping him apart. So I can't wait to see that just come to a head, and I don't know how it's gonna play out. It probably won't happen until after the fall finale, unfortunately. But I think it's gonna be great when they actually do that, and we're gonna get to see. Odds are Sky's somehow gonna be involved, and she'll actually be in there during that scene, and he'll want to rip this guy apart. He'll want to take Whitehall down, but he won't be able to in front of his daughter and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for them to play that role. There are a lot of other great moments in this episode. Ward, like his story was really crazy. Him with his brother and stuff, and it seemed simple at first. It was like, okay, he went for his brother because and we find out in this episode he wasn't lying when he said that his brother was the one that made him do it. But he goes after him, and it's like, okay, he went after his brother. He got his brother to confess. He took out his guards and all that stuff. Fairly simple. And then he killed him and his parents, and it was like, okay, that was nuts. I wasn't expecting that. But and this could be something I just didn't remember, but I don't ever remember him talking about how his parents actually used to beat him and stuff like that. And I'm sure they did mention it and I just forgot. But when his brother was talking about that, it was kind of a surprise to me because I didn't remember it from season one. So it was very interesting to get that. And the reason his older brother wanted him to beat up his younger brothers because for whatever reason, the youngest brother was really, he was kind of loved compared to them because they would always get beat up and stuff. So it was very interesting, and he got him to confess, and he had to record it, and he just killed both his parents because they beat him, and he killed his brother for kind of mentally torturing him too, and probably physically in other parts we didn't see in flashbacks. But I thought that was just really well done. I thought it was really crazy, and Whitehall kind of brought him in like, I know you know how to move on. I know you can get things done because this is your family on the news, and you torch them in their house. So that was kind of crazy, but I really enjoyed it. It just shows Ward's really kind of done with everything. He just does whatever he wants to. He kind of gets the revenge he wants to get, and then he mentioned how he had no real ties to Hydra. He was always tied to Grant, but he went to Hydra because he had nowhere else to go. So it was just interesting to see him kind of do whatever he really wants to do, and it was a big first step in this episode. And his brother had one silly moment to me when he was digging, and when he finished digging and he pulled up the cover for the well, when his brother hit him in the stomach and ran, I was like, that was the dumbest thing he could have done. Like, his plan is to run from Ward. Like, he knows his brother's like a super secret double agent type of thing. Like 90% of his life is running after people or running from other people. He wasn't gonna make it out of that, but I just thought that was really funny. Like, his plan would have been perfect. All he had to do was hit him in the stomach and then hit him in the head. He would have been fine, but he hit him in the stomach and took off. I mean, it's TV, so of course. But it was just funny to me. Like, he's the older brother, the older politician brother, and he's gonna like outrun this guy who's probably been training to do this for a long time. I mean, heck, he was training but breaking his thumb. I'm pretty sure he's fine as far as running goes. So it was just kind of funny to see him do that. But I thought all of that was really well done, and I'm excited to see where Ward goes within Hydra. Like, I don't know if he'll pull another double agent type of thing where he'll continue to take out Hydra and try to help Shield just to get closer to Sky or anything like that. But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, that's his plan, so that's probably what we're gonna see. But I have no idea how he's gonna do it because really, he gave him one guy, but now it's like Whitehall is the main person. So how are things gonna go? And also, he knows stuff about Sky's father anyway, so I don't know if they ever met. They probably never actually met before, but he already knows stuff about him. So I'm excited to see their interactions as well, especially because Sky's father now knows, like, oh, you were with Shield, and so them like family. You can tell me about my daughter. So of course we're gonna get those scenes coming up. I don't, once again, I don't know if they'll do all that stuff in the fall finale, but we're definitely gonna get that at some point. So I'm excited for that as well. And then of course, like, the main point of this episode is finding the city, and by the end they find it, and it was just really, really great. Like, the whole mission aspect of the entire episode I thought was well done. We had the stuff with Bobby and Hunter, which was really good, and they may or may not be getting back together. They at least did it by the end of this episode. But it brought up some interesting moments with Bobby kind of worrying, and Hunter saying, like, I don't know, maybe you took this guy out, like you had him in the palm of your hand, but you sort of flipped things around because he barely flipped things on you and was talking about bringing things up about how you infiltrated Hydra and stuff. So it does bring up some interesting questions. I know she's I believe her name is Mockingbird in the comics, so she's a good guy, so I don't expect it to be like, suddenly she's a villain or anything like that. But I thought it was pretty cool how they kind of played on that aspect of it, especially because she's a good guy. And, like I said, I don't expect them to change that much where they suddenly turn a hero into a villain, but it would be interesting if they did. I highly doubt it, but it's cool that they just played on that aspect, and it also gave us some cool moments between, Bobby and Hunter, and just how they interacted, and they actually saved the guy even though he had like cyanide embedded like in his cheekbone, which I thought was insane. Like, that's some high level secret agent stuff, but it was really cool. We got him, and he gave away some secrets, and that led to them finding out the stuff about Whitehall and everything. So I really enjoyed that. The stuff we got to see with Coulson, Sky, and Trip, and Fitz was all great. I really loved the part where they were setting up the mission, and it was just a really funny thing. Like, Coulson is just giving them the facts, like, all right, do this, do this, do this. And by the end, like with Sky is like, if it drips, then dropping and take off is like that doesn't seem like a watch to me. And then the stuff with Trip when he had like the little coin, he's like, I'm good with this in my pocket, right? And he's like, it depends if you want kids. It's like, oh, okay, let me take this right out then. So I thought that was really funny, and of course, the stuff with Fitz I thought was great, mostly because we get more of old Fitz. We get to see him back in action. He's in the field. We got to see him practicing, and he was struggling with it a little bit. And then by the end of the episode, it was, he made a joke that was very much like him from season one, where he was like, I got it down to 7 minutes and 20 seconds. And Coulson's like, that's not enough. And he's like, oh, that's with my bad hand with both hands. He's like, and he didn't even finish. He just was like, yeah. And he just walked off. And I really love that moment because that's old Fitz. That's how he is. And he was much more like his old self in this episode. And I really love that. It's just a little bit more of old Fitz that we're getting back piece by piece, but we're definitely getting to see it. And like I said, he was out in the field, he was doing his thing, and he did it, and it was just really well done. And fortunately, Trip didn't die. That was like the big thing, like someone would get hurt. So fortunately, he didn't end up dying. It was really well done. When like Sky's dad came out, I was really surprised by that one. Like things are gonna get a little crazy, but he did it well. It was like, I cut whatever artery he cut, so it's like this will give us a little chance to talk, and once I let this go, you'll have to help him, and that'll give me time to escape. So I thought that was well played, and he got to, meet with Coulson, and like I said, kind of rattle his cage a little and talk to him. And they had the little moment when Coulson kept saying Sky, and their dad like freaked out, like that's not a name, and it was like, all right, it's not a name, that's fine. But I thought the whole thing, mission wise, was really well done. Every aspect, really, I thought was really good. We got to see cool flashback stuff. We got to see Agent Carter, so always pretty cool when we get to see her in an episode. And just everything leading up to the ending was very well done. It was just really interesting stuff. We got, another question, of course, like the woman still being young. That's still a question that's out there. Is she young because of an ability she had? Is she young because of the divinery kind of gave her some sort of extra ability or something like that? So, exactly what is it? And also the actress that played the woman, she was in another Joss Whedon show, Dollhouse. So if you saw that, you probably recognized her. Or if you watched 100, I believe her. I can't think of her name right now. I don't actually know her name. But I really like her as an actress. And it was kind of funny to see her in the show. Like, oh, she's in the 100. And then she was in this for like an episode. Because, Joss Whedon kind of just always brings back people from his old shows and stuff. So it was kind of cool to see her in there too. But I love the episode. I'm really excited for the fall finale. We have to wait 2 weeks, sadly. But I think it's going to be really good. They're going to be in the city. We're going to get to see exactly what the obelisk does and everything. So I'm really excited for that. Excited for just everyone versus Whitehall. It seems like he's got people around him that are just all trying to take him out, and he's just trying to take everyone else out. So it's a really weird dynamic of how the villains are kind of all together, but they're all trying to take each other out while also all trying to take out S.H.I.E.L.D. except for Ward. I guess he's kind of just the enigma right now. He's just helping S.H.I.E.L.D., but at the same time, it's like you could have done a lot more to do that, instead of being Hydra in general. But I'm excited for everything. I love the episode. Of course, comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And, of course, Whitehall having these enemies. Who do you think is going to get to him first? Because right now, my bet would have to be on Sky's father because, really the super strength stuff. But do you guys think Ward is going to get to him first and turn him into S.H.I.E.L.D., or do you guys think Sky's father is going to get to him first and rip them apart? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.